Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give Kal Halal La Yahweh, Bahasham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. That is to say, all praise to Yahweh, in the name, the anointed Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, and Yahweh Shai being the name of the man that the world ignorantly calls Jesus. So today, we're going to be addressing something that's been taking place in the comment sections of one of my videos. Just some falsehood to clear up. I don't like to go back and forth in the comments. It's fruitless. And through experience, what I've come to find is that these people who jump on the comments with misinformation, you can't rebuke them and give them understanding because they just don't accept it. And what ends up happening, even when you show them exactly what it is and it's clear cut, there's no working your way around it. The evidence speaks for itself. Even when you go through that whole process, they still continue. And what ends up happening is you end up with a long 100 comment long thread of comments. You end up with just a back and forth, and they will go forever. These people will go forever. They don't stop until you stop. And then when you stop and you stop responding, they're like, see that? I got the last word in, so I win this debate. When it's not about getting the last word, it's about whose information is correct. And this isn't any kind of pride or emotional. I'm just addressing it in the video because, like I say, if you deal with these people in the comments going back and forth, there's no end, there's no stop to it. You can't teach them, so what I'm going to do is teach through him. I'm going to teach through this man, rather than trying to teach him, because he's not going to have it. So I'm going to teach through him, through the example that he's left. Now to the man, I believe his name was Ryan Jones, we're going to see in a minute. If you are an Israelite, please understand first that this is not a shot at you, right? This is not an attack on you. Okay, this is just a teachable moment. This is not in any way, shape or form a bashing of yourself. Okay, if you're a heathen, then yeah, you get all the smoke you want. You can get all the smoke, right? I will smoke you off, but through the spirit and power of the Most High, of course, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. But if you're an Israelite, brother, just know there's no ill will towards you, no malice towards you. Lord willing, you can be edified too. This is not an attack on you. This is a teachable moment. Like I say, I won't go back and forth in the comments because it ends up with a 200 long comment thread with no fruit whatsoever. No end in sight, right? It's fruitless. I've done it through experience, that's why I don't engage in comments like that. I might do a couple back and forth. If you don't get it by then, okay. I don't really engage with comments anyway, unless positive or on the same lines, just to salute the Akim. But if it's something like this where it's contention, I tend not to gauge in comments because it just, through experience, I've seen what happens. It's not fruitful. So I'm going to use this as a teachable moment. Without further ado, I'm going to get into this. It's on the video. Give diligence. Okay? Give diligence. He said, did you know that the Nephilim used to live along the Avon Gorge? So this is one of them brothers who believes that there were giant, huge, I call them skyscraper people. It's one of them brothers who believes this, right? This is not true, this is not biblical, this is not historical, but they believe it. They believe it because of the verbiage from the translation. So I responded, that's a bunch of spooky nonsense. There was never any huge, gigantic skyscraper people. And here is where he condemned himself for future notice. He said, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5:21, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Right? Which is one of my favorite scriptures. I love bringing this one out because it really puts people on the spot and they have to deal with what they have to deal with. We're about to get into proving my statement. And you see, this is where he's condemned himself. Ryan Jones, this is where you condemned yourself. Because we're about to prove it. According to the scriptures. according to the scriptures, not according to thoughts and feelings, according to the scriptures. So if you believe in the scriptures, and I show you what I'm about to show you, I've proven all things that I stated, you have to, um, what's the word? You have to concede your understanding. You have to concede your understanding based on the scriptures, right? The Bible speaks of giant people, so this ain't no hocus pocus. Yes, the Bible does speak of giant people. Is that talking about skyscraper people? No. I actually say what it is. I said yes, giants as in people who are like 7 to 9 foot tall. Now it actually does exceed that. There's someone who is about 13 foot tall in the Bible, but it doesn't make mention of anyone who's a skyscraper people, right? So yes, giants as in people who are like 7 to 9 foot tall, or people who are mighty, not skyscraper people. He says clearly taller than 9 foot. Clearly taller. There's no unit of measurement, and like I say, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, we are going to get into units of measurement. We are going to get into units of measurement. This brother does not deal with units of measurement. He does not bring out any units of measurement. Okay, he just brings out Numbers chapter 13, verse 33. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we. So we were in their sight. Okay, and that's just it's just the same comment. So he's using this to say because we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, like we were like grasshoppers compared to them. He's saying that says they're clearly taller than 9 foot. Like I say, no unit of measurement, and also, do I want to? Yeah. So he says you are like a skyscraper compared to a grasshopper, and we are like grasshoppers compared to the giants the Bible speaks of. They are all probably in the seabed, as is the case of the giants of Bristol, making it impossible to carry out excavations. That's convenient. Or the rate of decomposition accelerated due to their chemical composition. Not sure where he's getting this scientific breakdown. It says, so yes, there were skyscraper tall people in the Bible. No, there wasn't. Okay, just gonna lay it out right now. No, there wasn't. Because he's saying because grasshoppers were like skyscrapers to grasshoppers, that means that they were like skyscrapers to us, these giants. But he's not considering that the Bible uses different literary devices. Different literary devices. It uses similitudes, similes, metaphors, right? It uses these things, okay? And one literary device that the Bible makes use of is hyperbolic speech. A hyperbole is exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. He vowed revenge with oaths of hyperboles. So what's an example? Right, I travel some distance to camp. Let's say I show up to camp and someone says, hey, how far did you travel today? I say, I traveled 1,000,000 miles. Did I actually travel 1,000,000 miles? No. I'm just exaggerating to emphasize the fact that I traveled a long way. Right? Oh, I could eat a horse right now. Could you actually eat that much food? No. You're just exaggerating to outline and make clear just how hungry you are. It's hyperbolic speech. The Bible uses this literary device. One example is in Romans chapter 1 verse 8. It says, first, I thank my God through Yahushua HaMashiach for you all, that your faith is spoken of throughout the whole world. This is a hyperbole. Why? Because was their faith being spoken of in the Americas by the northern tribes who had no idea what was going on in the Middle East at this time? No, they didn't know about this faith. They didn't know about the faith of the Jews in Rome. So this is hyperbolic speech. Was their faith actually being spoken of in every single place in the whole world? No. This is hyperbolic speech to say, look, everywhere in this region, your faith is spoken of. It's hyperbolic speech. Right? So let's get into what I was going to bring out. This is 1 Samuel chapter 17, right? Where was that verse going? All we need is the word Goliath, really. All we need is the word Goliath. What's that verse? I wish we just had it. Goliath. All we need is Goliath. Watch this. Goliath. The Philistine giant of Gath, slain by David's sling. Goliath was a giant. This is how they will depict Goliath. This is how I was taught in school. Bear in mind, I didn't read the Bible growing up. I just learned from other people, false teachers. This is how they taught us. They made it out like he was like an actual giant, the way that this man's describing him, a skyscraper person. You know, this is more accurate, other than how they look. But they make out like this was the case. Some big giant warlock type thing. No, that's not what we're dealing with here. Right? What we're dealing with is a giant. Let's see. First Samuel 17:04. Can't. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So Goliath, who was a giant, was 6 cubits and a span. Let's see how that translates into modern times. Salakia. Let's see how that translates into modern times. So we've got the length, right, on the left there. Cubit. Let's see what cubit. 18 inches. A span. 9 inches. So Goliath was 6 cubits in a span. So Goliath, 18 inches times 6 plus 9 inches, that's a span. So we come out with 117 inches. Into feet, Goliath was 9 feet, 9.75 feet roughly. Nearly 10 feet. Goliath was nearly 10 foot tall. And he was a giant. Now skyscrapers are not 10 feet tall. That is a particularly tall person, yes, but that's not the size of a skyscraper. That is just somebody who is particularly tall. 10 feet, well 9 foot, about 9 inches is particularly tall. So when we read in Numbers chapter 13 verse 33, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we in their sight. This is hyperbolic speech, just exaggerating to say, look, these men were tall. It's hyperbolic speech, it's an exaggeration. Goliath was a giant and he was 10 foot, so what, was he a tiny midget giant? Was he a micro giant? No. Giant just meant a tall person. Okay, that's all it means. Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 11, I believe. Yeah. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth thereof, after the cubit of a man. So it was 9 cubits. How much was a cubit? A cubit was 18 inches. As that by 9, 162 inches. Right? 162 inches, 13 feet. So this man was about 13 foot tall. And he was a giant. Is there any 13 foot tall skyscrapers? No. It's hyperbolic speech. He was just a particularly tall man. That's all it is. There is no giant skyscraper people. Like I say, Ryan Jones, this is not a bash at you. If you're an Israelite, I'm just teaching through you, because going back and forth in the comments would be fruitless. I've done it before, foolishly, back in the days, and it just ends up with 100, 200, 300 long comment thread with no edification and just a back and forth until someone gets the last word, right? Until someone gets the last word. That's all that happens. So I've decided to teach through you. This is not a bash at you. Lord, within you are edified also. And if you are a heathen, then you can have all the smoke you want. Bahasham Hamashiach Yahweh. And I'm going to close out by giving Kal Halal La Yahweh Bahasham Hamashiach Yahweh. Shalom.